This day in sports history. It's October 14th, and on this day throughout the course of the last 50 years or so, we had some dramatic endings to baseball games. We had a bomb in the Bronx, a slow Sid scored the winning run in Atlanta, and they went crazy in St. Louis. All that plus Billy Mills surprised the world in borrowed shoes, and a non-sports fun fact about fruit as a status symbol. Hang around until the end, and I guarantee you will walk away from this episode with a little more knowledge than you started out with. So let's start on this day in 1976, when Chris Chambliss hit a walk-off home run, but never truly scored the winning run. This was the decisive Game 5 of the American League Championship Series between the Kansas City Royals and the New York Yankees. The winner would be headed to the World Series to play the Cincinnati Reds. The loser would get their off-season started a little bit earlier. This was a great series. The Yankees won Games 1 and 3, the Royals Games 2 and 4. The Yankees took a 6-3 lead in the 6th. Kansas City's George Brett hit a 3-run home run in the top of the 8th to tie it back up. It stayed that way into the bottom of the 9th as Chris Chambliss stepped to the plate. Nobody had had a better series than Chambliss. Up to this point, he'd hit .500 with a double, a triple, and a home run, and he had 7 RBI. He was the man you wanted at the plate if you were a Yankees fan. And he delivered.
He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant. Holy cow, Chris Chambliss on one swing. And the Yankees win the American League pennant. Unbelievable, what a finish. As dramatic a finish as you'd ever want to see. With all that delay, we told you Littell had to be a little upset. And holy cow, Chambliss hits one over the fence. He is being mobbed by the fans. And this field will never be the same, but the Yankees have won it in the bottom of the 9th, 7-6. And I want to tell you, the safest place to be is up here in the booth.
But here's the thing. As you heard Phil Rizzuto say in that clip, Yankees fans rushed the field and they mobbed Chambliss as he rounded second. He was chop-blocked between second and third. Fans tried to steal his helmet as he rounded third, but his path to home plate was completely blocked. To be a legitimate home run, you gotta touch home plate, but he couldn't get there because of the mob scene. He escaped to the dugout, fearing for his safety. Eventually, he was led back out to the field after the throng had tripled in size, and he was escorted back to home plate to touch it and make it official. Only thing was, home plate had been stolen, so he touched the ground where it had been and then was hustled back to the locker room. It was the first American League pennant for the Yankees since 1964. On this day in 1992, it was one of the greatest comebacks in Major League postseason history. A quick scene set here. It is Game 7 of the '92 National League Championship Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Atlanta Braves. The Pirates led 2-1 in the bottom of the 9th. Bases were loaded with 2 outs. Here's longtime Braves announcer Skip Carey with the iconic call of this final play.
A lot of room in right center. If he hits one there, we can dance in the streets. The 2-1. Swung line drive left field. One run is in. Here comes Bream. Here's the throw to the plate. He is safe. Braves win. Braves win. Braves win. Braves win. Braves win.
So that was pinch hitter Francisco Cabrera with a liner to left, scoring David Justice from third and a lumbering Sid Bream from second in Game 7 of the NLCS that sent the Braves to the World Series. So, if you were around then, you probably remember that first part, but there's a couple of things to know about what led up to this play. First, after Terry Pendleton led off the bottom half of the double, David Justice hit a sharp grounder to second. The usually sure-handed Jose Lean, who won a Gold Glove that year, booted it. Pendleton wound up on third, and Justice was safe at first, representing the tying run, which you just heard. If Lean makes that play, there is 1 out. Pendleton is still on third, but more than likely, knowing how the next couple of batters went, the Pirates are winning the game and going to the World Series instead. Secondly, just before Cabrera's liner to left, Pirates center fielder Andy Van Slyke yelled over to left fielder Barry Bonds to move in a little bit and take a few steps to his left. According to Van Slyke, he was trying to get his teammates to shift just a little so that a base hit would not win the game. In response, Van Slyke said that Bonds gave him half of the peace sign and did not move. Cabrera's line drive was very near where Van Slyke wanted Bonds to move to. Bonds fielded the ball, but he had to throw across his body, which carried the throw up the line enough that catcher Mike Lavalier's effort to get back to the plate was a microsecond too late. If Bonds had taken Andy's advice, there is a really good chance that Bream is out by 5 feet at the plate. The Braves went on to play the Toronto Blue Jays in the '92 series, but they lost in 6 games. On this day in 1985, it was yet another dramatic walk-off in the National League Championship Series, this one between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Los Angeles Dodgers. It was Game 5, and the series was tied at 2 games apiece. The game was also tied at 2 in the bottom of the ninth. Tom Niedenfuer was on the mound for L.A. Ozzie Smith came to the plate with 1 out. Here's legendary Cardinals broadcaster Jack Buck with the call.
Ozzie with 1 out. Took a ball just outside. Cardinals have left 10 men on, and they left a lot of men on early. Had a runner at third, nobody out in the first and didn't score. Second and third, 1 out in the second and didn't score. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2 on a home run by the Wizard. Go crazy.
Now, the Wizard of Oz was not known by any stretch of the imagination as a power hitter. He'd only hit 13 career homers up to that point in his 8-year career. Add to that, the switch-hitting Smith had never hit a home run from the left side of the plate until he uncorked that one to win Game 5. The Cardinals would go on to close out the series in the next game to move on to the World Series against the Kansas City Royals. Hey, real quick. You've heard me talk a lot about the Sterling Soap Company over the past few months, and if you haven't tried out their soaps, I get it. It's not easy changing up your routine. But let me just say, if you give them a try, I'm nearly 100% certain you will have 0 regrets. They carry not only bar soap, but shave soap, liquid body soap, body lotions, beard balm, lip balm, and a lot more. Plus, there are myriad scents to choose from. Their products are made with natural ingredients and scented oils, and they are committed to being environmentally conscious. And I always get a handwritten note on my packing slip, so I know it's been checked before shipping, and it's a nice little human touch in a world that seems to be going away from that. Give Sterling Soap a try today at sterlingsoap.com. On this day in 1964, it was an improbable win for a U.S. runner in the 10,000-meter run. This was the Summer Olympics held in Tokyo, and to be honest, this was more like an impossible win, not simply an improbable one. American Billy Mills was a 26-year-old Marine Corps lieutenant, but his chances for contending in this race, let alone winning it, were minuscule. His qualifying time for the final was a full minute slower than the man who was expected to win gold, Australian Ron Clark. In fact, the U.S. Olympic Committee felt his chances were so low, they did not even issue him a pair of shoes to run in. He was told, "We only have enough shoes for those we expect to do well." So Mills, a kid who grew up poor in South Dakota and was orphaned at the age of 12, did what he always did. He took care of himself, and he borrowed a pair of shoes from a fellow runner. The shoes did not fit very well, and they caused him some pain, but it was all he had. He took the slight to heart as well, and he ran the race of his life. Now, the field competing in this final was absolutely huge. There were about 40 runners, and what happened was that more than half the field was too slow to keep up with the leaders, and they created lap traffic. However, The lap traffic refused to give up the inside lane, forcing the leaders in the final laps to run in outside lanes like 3 and 4 to get around them. Coming to the bell lap, Mills surprised just about everybody but himself, and he was out in front, just a half step in front of Clark and Tunisia's Mohamed Gamoudi. There was a good bit of jostling up front. Clark moved up to Mills' shoulder and moved him to the outside. Then Gamoudi forced his way between the two and levered his way past into first place, pushing the pace higher and higher. Now, down the backstretch, Mills trailed in third place by about 10 meters. But as they rounded the final turn, Mills ignited a burst of speed.
It looks like they're changing the lead right now. No, Gamoudi still has the lead. Ron Clark second place. There goes Billy Mills. Billy Mills pouring on the steam. Billy Mills is really putting it on. Billy Mills has the lead for the United States heading toward the finish line. Billy Mills the tape. Billy Mills has just won the men's 10,000-meter event. The first time the United States has ever won this event. Billy Mills has just won. We have on our clock 28 minutes and 24 seconds.
Mills broke the tape in a new Olympic record of 28 minutes, 24 seconds, and he did it all in borrowed shoes. And on this day in 2002, Terrell Owens put his stamp, well, I suppose it's better to say he put his signature on a touchdown. The Niners were playing in Seattle on Monday Night Football. Trailing by 1 with under 8 minutes to play, Jeff Garcia threw a 37-yard TD pass to Owens, who made a nice adjustment on the ball to catch it and score it. It was Owens' second touchdown of the night. After the TD, Owens celebrated as only Terrell Owens could.
What is that, a pen?
Yeah, he had a pen in his sock, and he pulled it out and autographed the ball.
That's a first. Who would even think of that? Here's Garcia, and that's caught by Hurst for the 2-point conversion. No signature.
You would think of that. Terrell Owens would think of that.
So Owens was not fined by the league for the incident, but the No Fun League did issue a rule that no foreign objects can be hidden in the uniform and carried onto the field. The Sharpie he used to sign the ball was sold at auction for $3,654. Oh, and Owens' TD grab turned out to be the game-winning touchdown. And time now for today's That's Got Nothing to Do with Sports fun fact. Back in the 1700s in England, pineapples were a symbol of wealth and status. Those who had the means to secure a pineapple would parade them around to let everyone know of their high-class status and personal wealth. And it's why a lot of furniture that was made in those days and other housewares that came out of the 1700s were decorated with pineapple. That's all I've got for you today. Check back tomorrow for another edition of This Day in Sports History. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.